Hello, friends. How are you? How's today? How's life? How's everything? It is the first day of summer break for my youngest. She had finals today, and she's on break. And that's awesome. Today I watched a video. Beginning of the week? No, how long ago was it? 3 days ago, I did a video called "Knowing More Than Your Skill Level," which was about the idea that I watched this video from Scott's Bass Lessons, where they talked about how like the knowledge that is available on YouTube is honestly a problem at learning something because you know more than you can do, and knowing makes you feel like you can do, and then you can't. And I identify with that a lot. A lot. I've always been the person that wants to know all the things and then get frustrated when I can't apply that knowledge because I don't have the skills. Building this workbench is a good example. Intellectually, so I put this workbench together with castle joints on these upper legs. The bottoms have dovetails. Intellectually, I knew how to do all of those things. I knew the saw cuts required. I knew the angles required. But physically, I wasn't capable of making this as nice as I was hoping because I didn't practice this skill. Well, today I watched a video from a channel called Kyle Teaches Bass. Kyle, by the way, I'm taking private lessons from Kyle starting Monday. Monday will be my first lesson with Kyle. And he talked about this, he identified my issue for me personally, especially when it comes to playing bass, but also on all of these hobbies and skills that I've taken on over the years. Because what happens is when you have the knowledge and you can't physically do it, then you get discouraged, or I do. When I know how to do something, but I'm not physically capable of doing it, then I get really discouraged, and then I don't want to do it anymore. Haven't had that issue on bass yet. Interesting. For whatever reason, I'm driven at that. But what Kyle talked about was you watch a video, it shows you how to do a thing. Maybe it's learning a part of a song. Maybe it's learning a scale or whatever. You'd go do. Oh, I can do that. And then you move on. And in your head, you feel like, oh, I learned that. I know how to do that. I can play that song. I know how to play that part. I can play this song. But you can't because you haven't practiced it enough for it to become just an innate part of you. That's the problem that I identify in all of the things I've ever tried to do. I just didn't practice it enough. And there's an illusion, especially when it comes to like handcraft or hand skills, that because you know how to do, I can write very neatly, that must mean that I could paint very neatly. No, absolutely not. Because there's so much more to learning how to paint than just being able to have fine motor skills over these motions. There are other motions that you need to develop for painting. There are other motions that you need to develop to learn how the paint is applied to the canvas, or whatever it might be. Chisel work. It seems like cutting a mortise in a piece of wood should be pretty simple. If you can use a chisel and a hammer, you should be able to do. No, you haven't done it. You don't know what it feels like. You don't have any intuition because you haven't done it enough for it to become innate. And that's been a problem of mine forever, and especially when it comes to playing bass. I have a really good example. On a bass, I should have brought a bass guitar with me. On a bass guitar, if you hold your finger down on a string, on a fret, and you pluck the string, you get a note. Whatever it is. Let's say G. Third fret of the E string, hold the G, G. If you go down 2 strings and up 2 frets, that's also a G, 1 octave higher. That works on any place. You could put your fingers anywhere on that bass, and 2 strings down and 2 strings up, or whatever, however you want to describe it. 2 strings up and 2 strings up, or 2 strings up and 2 frets up, is an octave. That's an octave shape. It's a very commonly used thing. Super common, in fact, especially in like funky music. 1/5 octave is a very common thing. I knew that before I bought my first bass. I'd already learned that shape. I had already learned root fifth. I already learned root third for both minor and major. I knew where those notes were because I knew, well, this is 90% of most bass lines. One, root, octave, fifth, third. Know those four things and you're good. Know the fourth because like the fifth, the fourth, whatever. Know those things. So I knew that before I bought my bass. I've played it in lots of licks, lots of songs, but in my head, I was learning that lick. I was learning that song. I wasn't learning root five or root octave. Wasn't thinking about it that way. And so I've been playing jazz for 3 months now. And it wasn't until I had this one particular song where I'm doing something on the bass that is fairly disconnected from what's happening in the song. Meaning the song has these chords, but the chords don't have a lot of movement. And I wanted more movement on the bass. So I chose to use some of the chord tones instead of the roots to kind of augment that section of the song. The problem doing that is, if I then go add back in the roots and the fifths, then it sounds samey. Again, I'm using a chord tone and then a root five, chord tone, root five, chord tone, root. That root five sounds really obvious. And then I was watching a video about using octaves, and I went, wait, why am I not just going, tone, octave, tone, octave? I can use that octave to add a little variety. It's technically the same note, but it sounds higher or it sounds lower. You can go lower also. And it gives a little bit of variety to the bass line that makes it way more interesting. And the first time I did it, I was like, I'm an idiot. Like, this is obviously the answer. And I've known that answer for a year. I've all this time I've known that the octave is a good, ability. It adds movement, it adds motion, it adds interest without being any, tonally out of whack note. But I hadn't learned that. I hadn't put that knowledge into practice enough that it became innate, that I was able to just do it because that's how you do it. And I felt really dumb when I had that realization. And so I think, like anything, literally anything, the way to learn it is to do it, is to practice it. And remembering that practice is not something that you share with other people. I mean, maybe you do if you're putting it on YouTube and showing your progress. But, artists don't share their practice pieces. Artists share their, completed pieces that they've learned how to complete based on their practices. Practice. It just comes down to learn it until you don't have to think about it, until it becomes like, oh, yeah, this is the thing that you do in this situation. I'm working on that. Trying. Doing my darndest. So, what do you think about that? You should let me know in the comments. While you're down there, let me know what's going on in your world. Let me know what you got going on this week. If you got anything exciting happening, you should let me know that. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Have a good weekend. I'll see you again on Monday. Today's 1,000 plus little things happy, successful people do differently. We have been learning. I just lost my bookmark. Where's my bookmark? There it is. We have been learning 12 happy thoughts for troubled times, and we are on number 12. You are a work in progress. Today is a fresh start. Replace negativity with positivity. Inspire yourself, give someone a compliment, take a chance on an idea you believe in. You have the opportunity to do these things every single day to make the necessary changes and slowly become the person you want to be. You just have to decide to do it. Yeah. I love that. You're a work. We are all a work in progress. Man, that's good. That's good stuff. Practice being you.